Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about part of iCloud's history.
So, you like everything so far? Good. So, I get to talk about iCloud. We've been working on this for some time now, and we're really excited about it.
Most of us remember the day in 2011 when Steve Jobs walked onto the stage at WWDC and introduced the iCloud. It was really the moment the cloud became a household name. But this email in my archive is dated December 2010. That's 6 months before Apple's announcement. No, I wasn't an Apple employee and this wasn't a leaked beta. I was a user of completely different iCloud, a forgotten operating system that lived entirely inside of a web browser. Today, we are digging into the era of web desktops and the Swedish startup that Apple paid $4.5 million just to make their name disappear. The story starts with a Swedish company called Exerion. Long before Chromebooks existed, they had a radical vision. Your computer shouldn't be a box under your desk. It should be a web page. They launched a service called iCloud, later known as CloudTop. It wasn't just a folder for your files, it was really a full desktop environment with taskbar, windows, apps, and all of them running inside of a standard web browser. The secret sauce was something called XiOS, the XML Internet Operating System. While most web apps back then were quite simple and heavily dependent on servers, Exerion built a client-side engine. Your browser was actually executing the operating system logic locally. This allowed for things that were unheard of in 2009, things like a virtual file system and offline transaction manager. You could lose your internet connection and keep working inside your cloud desktop, and everything would sync back up the moment you are online again. It was really years ahead of its time. But Exerion wasn't the only player. We were in the middle of a WebOS gold rush. Projects like iOS, not iOS. iOS were bringing open source desktops into the browser, and others like GlideOS were pushing the limits of Flash and early HTML5. This was the netbook era, hardware was weak, and internet was growing quite fast. And some of us really think about this will be a feature like using our operating systems on the cloud. The dream was simple, one web app to rule them all. But they hit two major walls. Firstly, latency, and the limitations of the JavaScript at the time. Then came the 2011. Apple wanted the iCloud name for their new synchronization service, but there was a problem. Exerion already owned the trademark and the domain iCloud.com, so Apple made a move. In a quiet deal that made headlines, they reportedly paid $4.5 million. Overnight, Exerion's iCloud became CloudMe, and original WebOS vision was pushed into the shadows. But the bigger shift just wasn't the name. Exerion wanted to give you a full PC inside of your browser, but at the base it was essentially precursor of the modern single-page web applications. Each app was an XML package, parsed and rendered directly by your browser. No page refreshes, just continuous data flow. As someone working in IT today, looking back at this architecture is quite impressive. They were solving problems like state management and local caching in 2008. Problems we are still refining today at 2026. The dream of web-based operating system didn't die. It just evolved actually. Instead of replacing the operating system entirely, it became something more specialized. If you enjoy this kind of videos, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching and hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day.